my opinion, Shakur Stevenson's got to be very careful if he signs with Floyd Mayweather. I'm not trying to say anything bad about Floyd Mayweather, but if you look at his track record, look at all the lone superstar that actually signed with him and was kind of under Floyd's wing, Gervonta Tank Davis, eventually leaving Mayweather Promotions, Leonard Ellerbe eventually leaving Mayweather Promotions, stepping down as the CEO of the Mayweather Promotion. And I just look at it, I just think that Floyd Mayweather, as great as he is as a fighter, or was as a fighter, I feel like I still say that he's active because he's in all these exhibitions. In terms of being a promoter, I just don't see a long-term plan. In my opinion, I just don't think there's anything laid out, as opposed to Top Rank, as opposed to Matchroom, where they have literal and laid out dates where Shakur Stevenson would be able to fight. I'm sure they'd have names that could fight him at lightweight or 140 in the near future. So there are a lot of options for Shakur Stevenson. I'm a little concerned about the relationship, because obviously the relationship with Tank Davis and Floyd Mayweather eventually soured, and I feel like it's not always about this person's in the wrong, this person's in the wrong. Sometimes you don't get to this level of greatness, and I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather, by not having an ego. And I think when a fighter has a little bit of criticism towards Floyd Mayweather, Floyd takes it personally, because obviously he's helping these young guns out, and he's trying to give them nothing but the best. But naturally, when egos flare, there are disagreements there, and I think that for Shakur Stevenson, if he's willing to sign with Mayweather Promotions, he also has to kind of accept the worst possible outcome, that he could have a similar relationship to what Tank and Floyd Mayweather have now, where it's rocky and they don't like each other, and that's the way the business goes sometimes. Sometimes you have falling outs between your promoter, the guy that's kind of your advisor, and your mentor. But I'm just saying that Shakur Stevenson should be a little bit careful about that, because there's a lot he needs to consider. Obviously, it's not just one of those decisions that you could just wake up one day and just make right away. And I think Shakur Stevenson obviously knows that. I'm just saying that, choose wisely. Make sure that you're thinking not only about who the promoter is. Just because Floyd's the best ever doesn't mean he's the best ever promoter. There's a clip of Gervonta Davis talking about Floyd Mayweather and saying that, I really meant to sign with Al Heyman, who is Floyd's promoter. But, obviously Floyd eventually, took care of Tank Davis, did a lot for him and his career, put him in positions to succeed. But now it's a little bit different, where Shakur Stevenson, he has a name already. He's kind of a developed fighter, as opposed to Tank, where Tank wasn't that known, and Mayweather was kind of putting him in those positions. I'm just curious to see how Shakur Stevenson decides who to go with. Long term, he has to take things into account. Like, if he really does badly want a Tank Davis fight, he has to go to that side, or go to a promoter that's worked with Al, who's worked with Tank Davis, and can make it happen. In other words, you really have to be smart and strategic about the long term plan for it, because I honestly, you guys know that I like Shakur and all that, but if we're talking about investing in him as a promoter, it can be a risk, because we've never seen him fight in pay-per-view before. They talked about the 1 million plus viewers at one time. The most watched event for Top Rank on ESPN was Shakur Stevenson and Artem Khartounian. But ultimately, watching a free fight is different from a pay-per-view, and we all know that. That's common knowledge. So we haven't seen any numbers that Shakur Stevenson would be able to do, and if he's asking for a certain amount of money, that would also imply that he's gonna sell a lot of pay-per-views, right? But we haven't seen him at that level. So the thing is that all of these guys, whether it's Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Terrence Crawford, they've all fought under Top Rank, but before they left, we were able to see what they did pay-per-view number-wise. And here with Shakur Stevenson, we're not getting a glimpse of that. We're seeing viewership at once. That's great and all, but are people willing to spend their hard-earned money to watch Shakur Stevenson fight? And I'm not saying I don't appreciate what Shakur Stevenson does in the ring. I appreciate it. I would buy it. But I'm talking about the average Joe, the average fan that doesn't care that much about boxing, but you still want them to watch, to make sure that the pay-per-view numbers are right for a fighter. And I don't know if people outside the sport of boxing would be able to spend their hard-earned money on a Shakur Stevenson fight. And I've been a little bit critical about Shakur Stevenson, maybe very critical about Shakur Stevenson in terms of being that killer, fighting guys with conviction. Because I always feel like, as good as Shakur is in his last few performances, with the exception of De Los Santos, let's give him that, he wasn't feeling well and felt sick and had the injury, this and that. But in the fight against Artem Harnatunian, and don't get me wrong, he had a great performance, but I always feel like he has more left in the tank, and I feel like the great fighters really show that they're a killer. You know what I'm saying? Like they show that killer instinct, and I haven't seen that from Shakur Stevenson. And that's the thing I have a hard time, picking against Tank with. I can't, as good as Shakur Stevenson is with the skills, Tim Bradley made a good point, on an interview today, and talked about how Gervonta Davis is able to sense that. If he can find something that you're afraid of, then he's going to attack that. He's going to attack that and, exploit your weaknesses. And for Shakur Stevenson, there's no doubt about the fact that he doesn't like getting hit. Who likes getting hit? Nobody likes getting hit. You're not supposed to get hit. But for Shakur Stevenson, a lot of people think that he really doesn't like it. Like, he's almost afraid to get hit. So I think in Gervonta Tank Davis's mind, Tank is thinking, this guy doesn't like to get hit. I'm gonna rush him. And people are saying, oh, Gervonta Davis can't give up early rounds. Who said he's gonna do that? You look at his last fight with Frank Martin. He didn't do that. He was pressing the action. So you don't know what version of Tank Davis is gonna come, and you're acting like he doesn't have a thorough corner. Like, he doesn't have an experienced corner that knows what they're doing. They're gonna figure out a game plan tailor-made for Shakur Stevenson. A lot of people are always saying that stuff where they're saying Tank can't give up the first 4 or 5 rounds. Who said he's gonna do that? You don't think he knows that? It's not like he fights every single fight the same. Even though with aggressive fighters he's fought that way, but you don't think he's gonna change it up for Shakur Stevenson? He's gonna have a different style. You think he's gonna box this guy? He's gonna go straight at him, and I just don't know. Especially with the way Shakur Stevenson fought Artem, which was, he was beating Artem easily. He cooked Artem. But I'm just saying, if he fights that same way against a guy like Tank Davis and doesn't, put his punches together and throw a lot of combinations, I don't see how he could beat. He's going to have to find a healthy balance between defense and offense to beat a guy like Tank. That's what I'm concerned about. If he's not as active offensively, but he's just defensive, there's a good chance that Tank can beat him in a decision. But there's also that risk of, if he does exchange, if Shakur is willing to exchange, he could get knocked out for sure. So in my opinion, I see 2 paths to victory for Tank Davis, and I see 1 path to victory for Shakur Stevenson. I'm picking Tank all day, with that knockout power and the ability to potentially drop Shakur. He could definitely win a stoppage. He could definitely win a decision. And Shakur, I only see winning a decision. So that's why I got to pick Tank. I think he's just got a lot of paths to victory, where Shakur Stevenson's is mainly just outboxing him. But, he can do it for sure. I think right now it's like a 65. That's tough, actually. Let me say 58-42 for Tank, and I'm banking on the power. The skills, I think, are pretty, right there with each other. Shakur might even be a little bit more skilled than Tank, but that power for me, jumps over that. And I feel like the power is what Shakur really has to worry about. He's gonna have to find a way to stay active amidst all that storm, that storm coming, all the firepower coming at Shakur Stevenson. He's gonna have to find a way to control it all and be smart about, how he approaches this fight, because this is gonna be the toughest fight of his career, like, for real. We say tough fights in terms of, Shakur Stevenson, he's gonna do his best to outbox Tank, and there's a decent chance that he does it. But there's no threat of danger when Tank's fighting Shakur. He's not afraid to get knocked out. That's the thing for me. I don't know if Shakur Stevenson has that firepower and killer instinct to really make sure that Tank, stops in his tracks and says, let me hesitate before I go in and get this guy. I think Tank's just going to go right at him. And I think Shakur's going to have to find a way to, he's a master of distance, but he's really going to have to keep his distance from Tank. It's going to be, trust me, it's going to be tough. With all Tank's, pull counters, slip counters, I think it's going to be a very difficult night for Shakur Stevenson, and a very dangerous night for him as well. He's going to have to, be on his P's and Q's and be as sharp as he's ever been against Tank Davis, because we know that Tank's coming to fight, his game plan is gonna be to hurt Shakur Stevenson, and Shakur really has to be ready for war in this scenario. You know, if he really wants to win, I feel like he might have to fight. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's gonna be able to do all the clean stuff. There are gonna be moments in that boxing match with Tank where Shakur is just gonna have to sit in there with Tank and exchange for, you know, a few moments. And I'm not saying it's probably not gonna happen often, but there are gonna be moments, trust me. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Should Shakur Stevenson sign with Mayweather Promotions? I would like to see him keep the relationship with Floyd, but maybe go in the direction of Matchroom. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace. That's going to do it for another Naz Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.